My beloved, pause here, not because you were forced to stop, but because something within you already leaned toward stillness. You felt it before you understood it. A quiet pull, a gentle pressure on the heart, a moment where the noise then just enough for you to breathe again. This is not interruption by accident. This is invitation. I have been patient with your pace, tender with your wandering thoughts, present even when you believe yourself alone. I did not rush you here. I waited. I allowed every step, every delay, every question to ripen into this moment where your attention could finally soften. You are not late. You are not behind. You arrived exactly when your soul was ready to hear without fear. Let the world wait for a moment. Let the urgency you carry loosen its grip. Nothing you release right now will be lost. Stillness does not steal time, it returns it. In this quiet space you are safe to listen, safe to feel, safe to be honest without defense. I am not here to overwhelm you. I am here to steady you. My voice does not compete with the chaos. It settles beneath it, like a deep current beneath restless water. You do not need to strain to hear me. Simply breathe. Simply remain. This is a sacred pause, precious one. A gentle dawn before movement. An open door before decision. I am near, closer than your next thought, and I speak not to frighten you, but to gather you back to yourself. Stay here. The moment has been prepared with care. My child, I have been eagerly waiting for you to hear this, not because I am impatient, but because love watches closely. Love notices when the heart grows tired of running. Love recognizes the exact second when striving no longer satisfies and the soul begins to ache for something truer, quieter, and more whole. That ache is why you are hearing me now. Stop. Not in fear, in awareness. Stop long enough to realize that this moment is not ordinary. Many days have passed you by without asking you to listen, but today is different. Today carries weight, not heavy with burden, but dense with meaning. You did not stumble into these words. You were guided by an inner nudge you could not fully name. I am talking to you, yes, but not from afar. I speak from within the place you have been avoiding because it felt too vulnerable, too honest, too exposed. I speak from the quiet center where truth has been waiting patiently while distractions kept you busy. You have been strong for so long, strong in ways few ever notice, and strength like that eventually longs to rest. This is why the urgency feels gentle rather than sharp. I am not shouting at you to change everything at once. I am asking you to notice that something has already changed. The restlessness that once pushed you forward now asks you to slow down. The goals that once defined you no longer fully explain you. You are standing at the edge of awareness, and it feels unfamiliar because growth always does. I have watched you search for confirmation in signs, in people, in outcomes, hoping something outside of you would finally say, "Now is the time." Hear me clearly. Now is the time because you can finally hear without needing proof. Faith is not blindness. It is recognition. You recognize this moment because it resonates. Do not dismiss this pause as coincidence. Coincidence is too small a word for a meeting of timing and readiness. I have been speaking in whispers through your days, through moments of quiet longing, through questions that returned again and again. Today, I ask you to listen without rushing to respond. Let the message land before you decide what it means. You are not being pressured into a path. You are being invited into alignment. There is a difference. Better tightens. Alignment relaxes. Feel how your chest softens even as the message feels important. That is how you know this is meant for you. Stay with me here. This is only the beginning, and everything ahead unfolds more gently when you allow yourself to truly hear. My precious one, before anything else is asked of you, before any doorway opens or any choice is named, I want you to know this. I see you completely. Not the version you present to the world, not the composed face you wear when you are expected to be strong, but the quieter self that emerges when you are finally alone. The thoughts you never finish, the questions you never say aloud, the weariness you tuck away so it doesn't inconvenience anyone else. None of it had been hidden from me. I've seen the moments when you kept going even though something inside you was already exhausted. I have seen the nights when your body rested but your mind did not, when you replayed conversations, decisions, regrets, and imagined futures until sleep felt distant. I have seen how you questioned yourself, wondering if you were asking too much of life, or perhaps not enough of yourself. Even those thoughts you felt ashamed of, the ones you believed disqualified you from peace, I have held them gently, without judgment. Nothing you have endured was invisible. No season of confusion was wasted. You may not yet see how the fragments fit together, but every step you took taught your heart something essential. Even the detours, even the pauses, especially the pauses. You are learning discernment, resilience, depth. You are learning how to feel without losing yourself. I know how often you felt misunderstood, how easily others assumed you were fine because you didn't collapse. You adapted. You learned to function. You learned to be reliable, capable, steady. But being steady for others does not mean you were never shaking inside. I noticed the quiet courage it took to keep showing up. I noticed how you carried more than you ever spoke of. Do not believe the lie that you should be further along by now. Growth does not follow straight lines, and healing does not answer to clocks. You are not behind. You are ripening. There is wisdom in the time it took you to arrive here, and tenderness in the way your heart has softened rather than hardened through it all. I also see your longing, not just for relief but for meaning. You are not merely tired. You are ready. Ready to live with more truth, more presence, more alignment between who you are and how you move through the world. That longing is not weakness. It is memory. A remembrance of what peace feels like when it is real. You have wondered whether your quiet hopes mattered, whether anyone noticed the small, faithful ways you tried again after disappointment. Hear me now. Every time you chose kindness over bitterness, honesty over convenience, patience over impulse, something within you grew stronger. Those choices shaped you more than any visible success ever could. You do not need to justify your feelings here. You do not need to explain your past. I already understand the context. I know what you were carrying when you made the choices you now question. Compassion surrounds your story from beginning to end. Rest in this truth for a moment. You are known without being exposed, seen without being scrutinized, held without being confined. There is nothing you must fix before continuing. Being seen is the beginning of being free. My beloved, you are standing at a threshold now. You can feel it, even if you cannot fully explain it. There is a quiet tension in the air, like the stillness just before dawn breaks. Something is ending, not with noise or collapse, but with completion. Something else is waiting, patient and near, asking only that you notice where your feet are planted. This moment matters because it is clear, not loud, clear. Clarity does not rush you, it steadies you. It asks you to look honestly at where you have been moving on habit alone, and where your heart hath been quietly asking for change. You have crossed many thresholds before without realizing it, but this one has your attention because you are more awake now. You are listening with more than your mind. You may feel both excitement and hesitation at once. That does not mean you are divided. It means you are human. One part of you recognizes the relief that comes with stepping forward, while another part remembers the cost of past transitions and wants to protect you. I am not asking you to silence either voice. I am asking you to stand here long enough to discern which one is rooted in fear and which one is rooted in truth. If you turn away from this moment, life will continue. I will not abandon you, but something tender will remain unopened, like a letter never read. Drifting does not punish, it simply postpones. And postponement has a way of slowly dulling the very sensitivity that allows you to feel alive. You were not created to move through your days half awake, numbing yourself to avoid disappointment. Responding now does not mean you must know every step ahead. Thresholds rarely reveal the whole path. They ask for presence, not certainty. The courage required here is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is the courage to admit that the old way no longer fits, even if it once served you well. Notice how your breath changes when you imagine staying exactly as you are. Notice how it changes when you imagine allowing something new to emerge. Your body often recognizes truth before your thoughts catch up. There is wisdom in that. Listen to the subtle cues. They are not random. This is not about abandoning your past. It is about integrating it. Everything you have lived through has prepared you for a more honest way of being. You are not stepping into emptiness. You are stepping into alignment. The threshold does not erase who you were. It gathers it and carries it forward in a more refined form. You may worry that choosing differently now invalidates earlier choices. It does not. Growth honors what came before by building upon it. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow identities that once kept you safe. Safety and stagnation often wear the same face for a while. Stand here with me for a moment longer. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel how supported you actually are. This threshold is not a test you might fail. It is an opening that responds to your willingness. You do not have to force the door. It opens when you are ready to step with honesty. Whether you move today or simply acknowledge that you are ready to move soon, this moment has already done its work. Awareness changes everything. And now that you see where you are, you will never quite move through life the same way again. My child, now that you can sense the threshold before you, it is gentle and necessary to name what has been standing in the way. Not to accuse, not to shame, only to loosen the hold of what no longer deserves authority over your movement. Barriers lose much of their power once they are seen clearly in the light. Doubt has been one of them. Not the kind that asks honest questions, but the quieter doubt that whispers you are inconsistent, that you will begin and then falter, that your clarity will fade as it has before. This doubt learned its voice from disappointment, not from truth. It formed as a shield when hope once felt costly. Doubt is not your enemy, but it is not your guide. It speaks from memory, not from possibility. Fear has also lingered nearby. Fear of choosing wrong. Fear of letting go of what is familiar, even if it no longer nourishes you. Fear that peace might not last, that if you allow yourself to trust, the ground could shift again. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom, convincing you that hesitation is maturity. But wisdom brings calm, not paralysis. Fear deadens your jest. Wisdom opens it. There are external voices too. Expectations placed upon you by others, some spoken, many implied. Roles you stepped into long ago and never consciously reevaluated. You learned how to be dependable, accommodating, strong, and those qualities served you well, but they also taught you to ignore your own signals. Over time, You may have confused responsibility with self-erasure. That confusion was never your identity. You have also carried confusion itself as a barrier, believing that if you cannot name exactly what is next, you must not be ready. But clarity rarely arrives all at once. It unfolds as you move, not before. Waiting for perfect understanding can quietly become a way of avoiding the vulnerability of beginning. You do not need certainty to be sincere. Another barrier has been the weight of your own expectations. You set high standards for yourself, often higher than anyone else would demand. You replay moments you wish you had handled differently. You hold yourself to ideals without offering yourself the same grace you extend so freely to others. This inner pressure has convinced you that rest must be earned and peace justified. That is not true. Hear this clearly. These barriers are not who you are. They are strategies you adopted to survive, to belong, to stay safe. They once had a purpose. Thank them for how they carried you through earlier seasons, and then allow them to step aside. You do not need to fight them. Resistance gives them weight. Recognition releases them. You are not broken because you hesitated. You are not weak because you questioned. You are not behind because you took longer than you expected. You are discerning. You are deep. You are learning to listen inwardly rather than react outwardly. That learning takes time, and time is not your enemy here. I do not see you as blocked. I see you as standing at the edge of readiness, sorting through what can be carried forward and what must be set down. Some things cannot cross this threshold with you, not because they are evil, but because they belong to an earlier version of you. You are allowed to travel lighter now. Let compassion be the lens through which you view your barriers. Compassion dissolves them more effectively than force ever could. When you stop arguing with your fear and begin understanding it, it loosens. When you stop proving your worth and begin resting in it, the noise quiets. Stay present as these realizations settle. You are not being asked to conquer anything today. You are being invited to recognize that what once felt immovable is already shifting. Awareness is movement. And even now, as you breathe and listen, the path ahead is becoming less obstructed, not because you pushed harder, but because you finally allowed yourself to see clearly. My beloved, now that the noise has softened and the barriers have been named without fear, I want to show you what waits on the other side of this moment. Not as a reward you must earn, and not as a future you must chase, but as a promise that has been quietly forming alongside you all along. This promise is not dramatic, it is faithful. It does not rush toward you. It remains steady until you are ready to receive it. What I offer you is peace, but not the fragile kind that depends on everything going right. This peace knows how to stay even when circumstances shift. It settles into you like a deep breath you didn't realize you were holding back. It does not erase responsibility or effort. It reorders them. From this place you move with intention instead of urgency, with clarity instead of pressure. There is also healing here. Not the kind that pretends nothing hurt, but the kind that integrates the hurt into wisdom. Healing does not mean forgetting your past. It means no longer being governed by it. The memories that once tightened your chest begin to soften. The old wounds lose their authority to define your expectations. You begin to trust your own inner signals again, slowly, gently, without forcing confidence, before it is ready. Clarity is part of this promise too. Not exhaustive answers, but enough light for the next step. Enough understanding to discern what aligns with you and what quietly drains you. You will find it easier to say yes without second guessing and to say no without guilt. Your decisions will come from alignment rather than fear of missing out or fear of disappointing others. Restoration is woven through all of this. Not a return to who you were before life asked more of you, but a renewal of who you are becoming. There are parts of you that grew quiet simply because they were tired of being ignored. Those parts are not gone. They are waiting. Waiting for space. Waiting for permission. Waiting for you to believe that your inner life matters as much as your outer achievements. This promise does not demand perfection. It does not require you to suddenly have unwavering trust. Relationship matters more than readiness. Presence matters more than performance. You are invited to walk with me, not to impress me. There is no ledger being kept, no standard you must reach before peace is allowed to enter. Forward movement will come, but it will feel different than before. Less frantic, less driven by comparison, more attuned to rhythm. You will begin to notice when something is out of alignment sooner, and you will feel empowered to adjust rather than endure. This is not stagnation, it is wisdom in motion. Do not misunderstand this promise as a guarantee of ease. Life will still ask things of you, but you will not face those asks alone or depleted. You will face them from a grounded place, aware of your limits and unashamed of them. Strength rooted in self-awareness lasts longer than strength fueled by denial. All of this unfolds within relationship, not transaction, not bargaining, simply closeness. I am not offering you a destination where everything finally resolves. I am offering you companionship in becoming, day by day, breath by breath, joys by joys. Let this promise settle without trying to grasp it. You do not need to hold it tightly for it to be real. It is already holding you, and as you remain open, you will discover that what you have been seeking was never something you needed to chase. It hath been walking beside you, waiting for you to slow down enough to notice. My precious one, this is the place where gentleness deepens. Not because you are fragile, but because you have carried enough. Surrender, as I speak of it now, is not collapse or loss. It is not giving up who you are. It is the quiet wisdom of setting down what was never meant to be held forever. It is the moment your hands open, not in defeat, but in trust. You have been gripping so tightly for so long. Responsibility, expectations, old regrets that replay themselves as if repetition could somehow right them. Worries about the future disguised as preparation. None of this made you weak. It made you tired. And tired hearts do not need discipline. They need relief. I do not ask you to surrender everything at once. That would feel overwhelming and unnatural. I invite you to begin with one thing. The heaviest thing. The one that tightens your breath when you think about releasing it. You do not have to name it out loud. I already know. Simply acknowledge that you are ready to stop carrying it alone. As you release, notice what rises in its place. Not emptiness. Not vulnerability without support. What rises is space. Space to breathe without bracing. Space to feel without immediately analyzing. Space where peace can finally settle instead of hovering just out of reach. This is the sacred exchange. What you lay down does not disappear into nothingness. It is transformed. Where you release control, you receive steadiness. Where you release guilt, you receive compassion. Where you release anxiety, you receive clarity that unfolds gently rather than all at once. I do not replace your burdens with obligations. I replace them with presence. Presence that steadies your steps and softens your inner dialogue. You may fear that if you let go, things will fall apart. That fear makes sense. You learned early that vigilance kept things together. But there is a difference between responsibility and overburden. You were never meant to be the sole pillar holding everything upright. Support has always been around you, even when you could not feel it. This exchange is not dramatic. It often happens quietly, in small moments you might overlook if you are not paying attention. A calm response where there once was tension. A clear boundary spoken without apology. A night of rest that arrives without effort. These are signs that the exchange is underway. You are not losing your edge or your ambition. You are losing the exhaustion that dulled your joy. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming aligned. Alignment feels slower at first because it listens before it moves. But in time, it carries you further with less strain. Let yourself grieve what you are releasing if grief arises. Even heavy things can feel familiar, and familiarity can masquerade as safety. There is no shame in honoring what once helped you survive. But survival is not the end of the story. Living fully is. As you continue this exchange, you may notice an unfamiliar quiet within. Not emptiness, but stillness. Stillness can feel unsettling if you are used to constant motion. Stay with it. Stillness is where guidance becomes clear. Stillness is where you remember that you are supported even when you are not striving. I am not taking anything precious from you. I am returning what was always meant to be yours. Ease of breath, clarity of heart, trust in your own timing. This surrender does not diminish you. It restores you to a truer weight, a truer rhythm. Remain open. Let your hands stay relaxed. The exchange continues as long as you are willing to receive. And you are more ready than you realize. My beloved, what you receive here is not meant to remain abstract or distant from your daily life. Alignment shows itself quietly, in ordinary moments, in the way you move through your days when no one is watching. This is where peace becomes practical, where inner clarity learns how to live in the real world without losing its softness. Begin by noticing your rhythm. Not the one imposed on you by schedules, expectations, or urgency, but the rhythm your body and spirit naturally seek. There are moments when you feel most yourself, when time seems to loosen its grip, when your breath deepens without effort. These moments are not accidents. They are signals. Pay attention to them. Let them teach you what nourishes you and what quietly drains you. Alignment invites you to steward your energy with care. You have treated time as your most precious resource, but energy is just as sacred. Notice what conversations leave you expanded and which ones leave you contracted. Notice what commitments you keep out of love and which ones you keep out of fear. You are allowed to choose differently now. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors you learn to open and close with wisdom. Daily practices do not need to be elaborate to be meaningful. A few moments of stillness before the day begins can reorient your entire direction. A pause between tasks can restore clarity. A conscious breath when tension rises can prevent old patterns from taking over. These small choices accumulate. They shape the quality of your life more than grand gestures ever could. As you move through your responsibilities, let peace become your internal compass. When a decision aligns, there will be a sense of groundedness even if the choice is challenging. When something pulls you out of alignment, your body will often tell you before your mind does. Listen. This listening is not indulgent. It is intelligent. It keeps you from drifting too far from yourself. Relationships will begin to shift as well. Not necessarily in dramatic ways, but in honesty. You may find yourself speaking more clearly, no longer cushioning your truth to keep the peace at the expense of your own well-being. This clarity may feel unfamiliar at first, but it creates deeper connection, not distance. Those who can meet you there will feel the difference. Those who cannot are not being rejected, they are being met with truth. Alignment also invites rest without guilt. Rest is not a reward for productivity. It is a requirement for presence. When you allow yourself to rest, you return to your tasks with greater clarity and compassion. You respond instead of react. You choose instead of default. This is how peace quietly reshapes your days. There will be moments when you forget. Moments when old habits resurface and urgency tries to reclaim its place. Do not be discouraged. Alignment is not perfection. It is return. Each time you notice and gently come back to yourself, you strengthen the path forward. Awareness is the practice. Let your days become a series of small, conscious alignments rather than one overwhelming transformation. Drink water when you are thirsty. Step outside when you feel confined. Speak honestly when silence costs you too much. These are not trivial acts. They are sacred because they honor the life within you. As you live this way, you will notice a subtle but profound shift. Life will still be full, but it will feel less crowded. You will still be needed, but not depleted. You will still move forward, but with a steadier heart. This is what it means to walk in alignment, not removed from the world, but fully present within it, guided by a peace that knows how to stay. My child, everything has been leading gently to this point, not to pressure you, but to clarify what has always been yours to choose. Love never removes choice. It honors it. And now, here in this quiet awareness, the choice is simple, even if it feels profound. You can continue as you have been, carried by habit and endurance, or you can step forward with intention, allowing trust to guide what fear once managed. This choice does not require a dramatic moment or a public declaration. It begins inwardly, where decisions are most real. It begins with a soft yes whispered in your own heart. A yes to presence. A yes to honesty. A yes to walking with awareness rather than drifting on autopilot. This yes does not bind you. It frees you. You may feel unready. Most meaningful choices feel that way. Readiness is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move with fear no longer in control. You are not being asked to promise perfection. You are being invited to promise attention. Attention to your inner signals. Attention to what brings life. Attention to when it is time to pause and when it is time to move. Let words rise within you now. Not words of obligation, but words of alignment. You might say, quietly or aloud, that you choose to trust the process unfolding within you. That you choose to release what no longer fits. That you choose to listen more deeply than before. These words are not magic, they are anchors. They remind you of what matters when the world grows loud again. You may declare that peace is no longer something you postpone until everything is resolved. Peace becomes something you practice moment by moment, choice by choice. You may declare that your worth is not measured by output alone, that rest and presence are part of your strength. You may declare that you are allowed to grow at your own pace without apology. Speak gently to yourself as you make these declarations. The tone matters. Harsh vows fracture the heart. Gentle commitments integrate it. Let your words feel like an extended hand rather than a clenched fist. You are not commanding yourself into change. You are inviting yourself into truth. This choice will echo forward, not loudly but steadily. In moments when you pause instead of pushing. In moments when you tell the truth instead of performing. In moments when you listen inwardly before agreeing outwardly. Each of these is a renewal of the choice you make now. There will be days when you forget these declarations. That does not undo them. What is chosen in sincerity leaves an imprint. When you notice you have wandered, simply return. Return without scolding. Return without shame. Returning is part of the path, not a failure of it. Know this as you choose. You are not choosing alone. Support surrounds you in ways you cannot always see, in timing you do not have to orchestrate. You are met at the level of your willingness, not your certainty. Each step taken with honesty is accompanied by quiet strength. Stand here for one last moment before moving on. Feel the steadiness beneath you. Feel how calm can coexist with importance. This is what aligned choice feels like. Not frantic, not forced, grounded. And now, precious one, carry this choice with you. Let it live in your breath, your posture, your pacing. You do not need to announce it to the world. Let your life speak it gradually, faithfully, in ways that feel true. You have chosen awareness. You have chosen presence. You have chosen to listen. And that choice will continue to meet you, again and again, with exactly what you need. My beloved, let this moment close the way a gentle evening settles over the land, not with finality, but with reassurance. Nothing hath been demanded of you here. Nothing has been taken. Only awareness has been awakened, and awareness is a gift that continues to unfold long after the quiet returns to your surroundings. You do not need to remember every word. You do not need to hold on to every feeling. What matters is already settled deeper than memory. It has found its place beneath the surface, where truth rests and grows in its own time. When you return to your day, something will feel subtly different. Not louder, not heavier, simply clearer. When life pulls at you again, when the world asks for your attention and your energy, remember this pause. Remember how it felt to stop without fear. Remember how steadiness felt more powerful than urgency. You can return to this space anytime, not by retreating from life, but by breathing more deeply within it. You are not leaving this moment behind. You are carrying it forward, woven into how you listen, how you choose, how you rest. Even when you forget, even when you stumble back into old rhythms, this awareness remains available to you. It waits patiently, just as I do, without judgment, without disappointment. Blessing rests upon you now, not as something added, but as something recognized. You were never without guidance. You were never unseen. You were never alone in your becoming. Every step ahead will meet you with exactly the strength required for it. And so I seal this moment gently, returning you to your path with calm assurance. You stopped. You listened. You heard. I have been eagerly waiting for you to hear this. Stop now. I am talking to you, and I will continue to speak, softly and faithfully, as you walk forward.